What's up, you guys? Sesma coming at you here with my Invoked deck profile. Now this is the deck I decided to play at regionals. It's Invoked, Kaiju, Artifact, Spellbook. So it's a mashup of one of my four favorite archetypes, my four favorite archetypes. So I wanted to deck profile it because this is after this video I'm already selling the Invoked deck. I'm selling pretty much everything except the staples that you guys see in other deck profiles that I have. So without further ado, let's get into it. For invokes, of course, you play triple Alistair, searches your invocation, and he boosts up your fusion monsters by 1,000 when attacking or when they attack your monster. So you want him in the grave. He's a Spellbook of Knowledge target, Wonder Wand target, and he pretty much gets the deck going. If they like strike him or Solemn Warning him, this deck kind of crumbles upon on that. But so does every other invoke deck. So triple Alistair. One Spellbook Magician of Proxy because he searches any Spellbook card. So you'll most likely search Secrets, and then with Secrets you search Knowledge if they don't have the Ash Blossom. If that's all you can do, is if all you have is him, so you use the Knowledge, you usually get rid of him and draw 2 cards. And the reason you go into Secrets first and then Knowledge, you just want to deck then, you don't want to draw another Secret. So one Spellbook. 2 Gofus, because in my extra deck I had enough space where you can go into double Decode Talker, meaning that if you draw one and you have Decode Talker and they destroy them later in the duel, you draw another one, you can go into a second Decode Talker. So 2 Gofus. I like to play 3 Kaijus because this deck draws so much and searches so much, you actually get them when you need them. I play Dogoran because of Purgatrio, Jizukiru because of Makaba, and Gamma Seal because of Cositis, because Cositis, he can't be Regeki. He's pretty strong defensively and he can be destroyed by card effects. So Cositis, Jirikizu, Purgatrio for gains. 2 artifact monsters, so I play Scythe and Moral Tech. Scythe limits them from the extra deck, and Moral Tech just pops a card when he's summoned. So if you don't have Sanctum, you just set these guys, and if they destroy them, which most of the time they're gonna think they're strikes or something, stops him from when he's sent to the grave, and only when he's sent to the grave. So if he's like popped with Cosmic Cyclone and he's banished, he can't get his effect. So you get sent to the grave, he comes back in attack position. Now your opponent can't use monsters from the extra deck, so that's pretty effective because it stops a lot of decks. And Moral Tech because he just pops targets and pops, so that's good. Now for the hand traps, like I always play 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Ash Blossom, 1 Maxi. I play just 2 of the hand traps because I don't want to draw into 3. I play Maxi, draw power, 2 Ash Blossoms. It stops a lot. It's a really good card this format. Stops from adding from the deck, stops from special summoning from the deck, and stops from sending a card from the deck to the graveyard. So you can do some pretty mean things with this and make Purgatrio, which is my favorite of the invoke monsters. And not only just that, double Effect Veiler, because if you most of the time you will have an Alistair in hand and you have Makaba on the field, so you have a negation with Makaba and Alistair, and you have a negation with Effect Veiler. So I just like to play Effect Veiler with this deck. Triple Terraforming because you're going to be searching triple Magical Meltdown. Most of the time you find yourself drawing into this card, so you can, if you already have the Alistair, use this for bait for Ash Blossom or something. So, or if you already have a Magical Meltdown and a Terraforming, use the Terraforming for bait, and then use the Magical Meltdown for Alistair, and then go from there. One of the problems that this deck does struggle with, since it does search and draw a lot, is Draw Unlock. So if you guys are playing Invoked and you have Draw Unlocks on your side, which I think people should be maining now, Draw Unlocks for Invoked really stop the deck big time. So double Invocation, recycles itself when you banish the Alistair. So what you usually would do is normal summon Alistair, use your draw cards like Spellbook of Knowledge or Wonder Wand, send them to the grave, plus off that draw 2, and then use Invocation for the Alistair in the grave, or any like element you want to make your invoke monsters. Most of the time I do find myself going into my opponent's extra graveyard. I'll either target their ABCs, or if they're playing True Drake or whatever they're playing, I'll usually go for my opponent's graveyard because I do play back to the front. So I want my graveyard to be as useful as possible for later in the duel if it does go that long, which most of the time it does. It's a fast deck but a slow deck at the same time. It relies a lot on the same combos. So this recycles itself, plus you only play 2 of it. I'd play 1, but I do play Pot of Desires, and if I banish this, that's game for me. So 2 is perfect. 1 Book of the Law because you tribute one invoke monster, and you get special summon any other one you want. So for example, let's say you were limited to only Makaba and they were Geki, and you negate and they have something else out and out for Makaba. You use Book of the Law and you pretty much go into Kaiju or whichever one you think will be better for the moment. Most of the times I go into Elysium because he has you target an invoke monster, and you banish all monsters on the field with the same attribute to that monster. And since Elysium counts every element, so you just pretty much blow up the whole field. It's like, alright, I'll blow up my field, but you'll blow up yours. So that's pretty much it. And you have an Alistair in hand to, next turn do something. Triple Spellbook of Secrets. So because it searches you add one Spellbook card. So if you just have this and you have no plays, you go into Prophecy. Prophecy gets knowledge, you draw 2, and you go from there. Double knowledge. Now the reason I don't play 3 is because you can't use a knowledge on a knowledge, so you can't use this and discard this from hand to draw 2. So you only play 2 of. You want to see it. You mainly want to search it. You don't want to see it in opening hand. So 2 knowledge, 1 Wonder Wand, because this substitutes for knowledge. For example, I could use knowledge and Wonder Wand in the same turn, so why not? 1 Raigeki and only 1 Pot of Desires. The reason I always say I only play 1 Pot of Desires because I don't want to draw into another Pot of Desires. You wanna use a card to its full potential, and Pot of Desires I think reaches its full potential at 1 because you basically do get 2 new cards. So why get another Pot of Desires? Just my opinion. And 1 Raigeki for board wipes. 2 Artifact Sanctum, because this is a fairly small artifact engine, but if they pop it, it serves as an MST, and then you could chain it and then get any of the artifacts in your deck, which most of the time you will have. So Artifact Sanctum. 2 back to the fronts. What I really like doing with this deck is when people feel that they've already outed Scythe, I'll just back to the front Scythe, and then the effect comes back since it was special summoned during my opponent's turn. So I usually find myself using this for Scythe, if not like any of the big Kaijus or something that'll help me go. But most of the time when I use this, I use it for Scythe or one of the most of the time. Also, what I do is I bring back Makaba and then I just make a Purgatrio, or I bring back Purgatrio and make a Makaba. So that's pretty like standard with this deck. So 2 back to the fronts. Next you play your Solemn Grade. So because it's just good. 2 strikes and 1 warning. Stops special summons and monster effects. Stops summons. So that's it with the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So I play just 3 tokens because I hate playing people who don't play with tokens and they use die, because it visually we're playing a card game, so I like to see what my opponent has. If they use 2 tokens, I don't like to see them put 2 dice. So if you guys are watching this and you guys use dice, please just buy tokens. These shits are like 50 cents, and it helps your opponent and it helps you visually see like what's going on in the field. 1 Durandal. Kind of don't find myself going into him, but when I do, if I do, I use him for his draw factor to destroy one of my own cards, but never really kind of go into him. 2 Decode, because like I said, you do have the option to go into this in a duel, and the extra deck is so small, why not play 2? Because you play 2 Gofu and you play enough Link monsters to make 2. So having only 1 Decode Talker means you have 1 dead Gofu in deck, so 2. 1 Proxy and double Link Spider. I just don't have the other one right now, so let's just pretend that's Link Spider. Proxy because I'll use 2 tokens to make this guy, and then I'll use Gofu and him to make Decode. And if I have the Invoke play, I have a Decode and a Makaba on the field now because he is a light, so I'll just banish the Proxy, make Makaba. So that's pretty much it. 1 Kaliga, 1 monster effect return. Raijin, he's a Book of Moon. Can't be Kaiju, can't be targeted and destroyed. He's one of my favorites because if they ever use Raigeki or Dark Hole, whatever, and I have a Book of the Law, I'll just Book of the Law immediately into him because I will have the Alistair in hand. And he's pretty beefy on defense, and he can attack in defense. So it would have been one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites to go into. One of the complaints I have with this deck is, why is Kaliga only 1000 attack? It makes no sense in my opinion because he is an invoked Alistair. So he could have at least been 25, like 1500, They didn't have to make him so weak. Like the jump off from Kaliga to Raijin is so huge. It's like 1000, 2200. They could have made him 1800 and 1000 defense. I would have liked that. So Konami, if you're watching this, I'm just pissed off that this guy is only 1000. And with Alistair's effect, he's only 2000. So he could have been 1800 and 1000 defense. That's my only complaint I have, but I don't like that. Double Purgatrio because everybody and their mother plays Ash Blossom. So easier to make. It's just, you play 2. Magellanica, big beater. and big beater. Macabre negates anything you pitch. So if you want to negate a spell, pitch a spell. Negate a monster, pitch a monster. Negate a trap, pitch a trap. You do play a lot of traps, so sometimes, if they have face downs, I'll keep a trap in hand. Like I'll keep a strike or a warning, or most of the times I'll set the back to the fronts, and I'll take the chance of him getting blown up, so I can just bring him back next turn. I mean the same turn. So that's what I like him for. One Elysium because, like I said, Book of the Law is a really strong card that I don't think a lot of Invoked players play. I play it at 2, sometimes at 1, most of the times at 2, but for regionals I decided to play it at 1. And he blows up everything, including himself, but you do have an Alistair in hand most of the time, so you just come back from that. So that'll do it for now, guys. This will be the last Invoked deck profile I ever make. I'm selling the deck after this. I really liked Invoked. It was my favorite deck playing. I played it since Fusion Enforcers. So since February, I've been playing this deck for over we're in October. I've played it for over 8 months, and it has been one of my favorite decks to play. I just like the artwork. I just like what the deck does. I like the draw power it has. I pretty much, this is one of my favorite decks of all time. It kind of hurts me to sell it, but you got to move on. You got to play new things. You got to learn new decks, how to play against decks. Playing this deck helped me learn how to play against it, so that's one of the recommendations I have for you guys. If you guys can play as many decks as you can, play them, because you learn how to play against not just your deck but other decks. So without further ado, this has been the last Invoked deck profile I will be making on this channel. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Anything you guys would personally change. Let's keep in touch. Stay on the channel. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Have a good day. Sesma is out.